Oh my God, I think I might have done something.
You're good. Let's start.
Oh my God!
This happy hour.
Here we go.
All right. What are you drinking?
I am drinking straight up bourbon.
Oh, that is hardcore. That is hardcore.
I know, I'm not a big drinker because I can, oh God, I thought I had it.
We were almost there.
Guys, this is not my forte. Here we go.
Do you have something to like lean it up against?
I usually do this on my computer when I'm like doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even started the Bourbon Brian. How dare you? All right. I'm just going to have to make this work.
By the way, I think you are our first guest to crowdsource like choice of cocktail on social media. I appreciated that. I hope you got some good suggestions.
Yeah, I just wanted to see what I will say there were a lot of good suggestions. I'm not a huge drinker. I can only kind of have one drink. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go straight bourbon.
Well, cheers.
Well, cheers. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. Very excited to talk to you. I actually.
And this is the brand because I know some people were asking.
Okay.
It's Blanton's.
Blanton's. Okay. Looks fancy. It's the writing's in cursive, so you know it's kind of fancy bourbon.
I know, and it has numbers on it, like it's some sort of registered bottle. I don't know where we got it, but we got it.
I am drinking a margarita, just classic Cuervo. I just mixed it with a pen. That's where I'm at right now. But it's delicious.
I love it.
Yes. Oh, and I like to kick these things off. I mean, we got to sort of, acknowledge everything that's going on and sort of toast the first responders, the medical professionals, everybody on the front lines battling the coronavirus. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
So much better people than me. Thank you to everybody who's still going to work at the grocery store, drugstore, postal office. We are so grateful. So
my daughter, who just turned 11, cheers to all of those people. When I'm out, when we do, once in a while go to the grocery store, I always say, I'm so appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. My daughter's like, all right, give it a rest. Like, you are mortifying me.
Yeah.
Because I do feel the need to like make eye contact. And thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's so huge. People driving trucks, people doing, by the way, teachers.
Yep.
I feel like, so many of the people that we've ignored for the most part and sort of, been like, yeah, whatever, they do their jobs, but we don't think about it, are the heroes through all of this.
Amen.
And you know what? If she's going to be embarrassed when I thank each and every one with the most intensity that I can.
That was me. Like I read like one tweet on social media about like a grocery store worker who everybody was being rude to or something like that. And I'm like, oh no. Like the next time I went to Ralph's, I was like, every single person I saw, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here.
And because you're wearing a mask, you really have to say it all with your eyes.
Right. Yes.
I may be putting more into it than I need, but you know what? That's okay.
Yeah, no, they seem to appreciate it. How are you coping with quarantining?
You know what? I cannot complain.
Yeah.
I am, grateful that we are healthy. I am grateful I have a house, to be able to hole up in. Friends and family, and so far, everyone's healthy, and I can't complain. Do I? Of course.
Yeah.
But, I will say, because I've been doing, I'm sorry, we were in the middle of shooting our third season when we got shut down.
Okay.
So, I've been doing that since 2016. So for 4 years, I've been so stressed that I actually am sleeping better than I've slept in almost half a decade. And the least stressed that I've been in 4 years.
That's good.
Which might be a bad sign that the rest of my life is
That's all it
stressful.
takes. That's all it takes is a global pandemic to just chill you out and
Just
get
a global
you a good night's
pandemic
sleep.
to chill me out.
I saw a great question come through. Very appropriate right now. Do you think quarantining is going to make its way into the series?
Well, you know what? That's interesting because we write all of our episodes before we shoot, because I'm in the writer's room and then we're shooting. So we have all our episodes done, but my writing partner, Joey, and I, my co-showrunner, we've been tossing around some ideas of maybe putting a little extra one quarantine episode into the mix once we get back up and going.
Okay. I'm really excited to talk to you about this show. I've become a big fan.
Oh, thank you.
I have to credit my wife for turning me on to you. Didn't sound quite right.
No, actually, maybe it sounded just right.
It's happy hour. It's happy hour. I'm mixing margaritas with my pen.
Bright red.
This is maybe the earliest I've blushed ever into an interview.
You know what?
Wow. Yeah.
I expect nothing less.
The white backdrop. My wife turned me on to the show and you as a performer. I also have to discredit her because like I've seen it. I've jumped around so much because she doesn't wait for me to watch it. So like I came in probably halfway and then I was like, this is hilarious. This is a show I want to watch with you. And then like the next time we revisited it, she was like 3 more episodes up. So I've been kind of jumping all over the place, but I think it's like I think it's one of the best kept. I don't want to call it best kept secret because I think that is a disservice to it because people know about this, but more people should be watching this show.
Well,
thank you. It is fucking hilarious. It is that
I appreciate that.
It's the perfect like sweet spot between. I know this has been said about it, but like between like raunch and sweetness, it just nails it. Also gets like so much right. We moved to the Valley a couple of years ago, and it's just like. It is so spot on.
I like to think that the Valley's almost a character on the show.
Yes, I can see that.
And I'm born and raised in the Valley, so I know it well.
In Sherman Oaks?
No, in Woodland Hills.
That's where we live now.
Oh my God! Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, we bought a place.
That's where I grew up.
We love it. It is a lovely area. It is a lovely area.
But my daughter goes to school in the Valley. Most of my life takes place in the Valley, so.
I revisited the pilot episode in preparation for this, and I was like, oh yeah, like it brings together like it perfectly, brilliantly intersects like 3 things that the Valley is best known for, right? Heat, parenting. There's a lot of families here, and porn stars.
And porn stars. And you're going to be hard pressed to go to a school where you are not with one.
Right. They're everywhere. Yeah. It's a great place to live. There's just a lot of porn stars. And you find out that, you know what? Porn stars are just like you and me.
Except they fuck for money and on camera.
Yeah, that's except for that.
So it's slightly different.
Right.
But, well, what was so interesting about our experience when my daughter was in preschool, she was no longer in the porn business, and you legitimately would have never known until it came out. And I was just fascinated by her plethora of anally based, very, very, she had a lot of work. She'd done a lot of work.
Yeah.
And what that does to one's body. But she was lovely.
We can only imagine.
Why is Onyx Sage writing my daughter was in the porn business? Did I say that? Did I misspeak?
I don't think so. I think everybody's drinking right now. So
I know.
We hear what we want to hear. So that would be bad if you wanted to hear that. I'm sure you get this question all the time. Like I'm sure it's tough to quantify, but like how autobiographical is the series? Like how much of it on sort of a show to show, scene to scene basis is directly tapped from things that have happened to you?
You know what? I would say on our show, it's almost season to season. I would say season 1 was pretty autobiographical. I mean, even like, I just saw that somebody asked about butt bumpers.
Yeah.
And butt bumpers was basically inspired by a play date that I ended up on where this man's wife wasn't there suddenly, and then my husband wasn't there, and we were supposed to go swimming. And I was like, this is crazy. And I had to change in my bathing suit, and I hadn't brought a cover up, and the bathroom was very far from the pool. And so it was just how suddenly 2 people who get along fine, just very awkward. But we did not actually butt bump. That was fictionalized. So almost all the characters, in fact, in season 1, exactly every character is based on someone real, and all of the storylines Racist Daughter was very autobiographical. The pilot was Asshole Lesbians. So a lot of them, or, you know, sparked from a real place. And then season 2, I would say half and half, my real stories and my writer's room real stories. And maybe, I would say maybe 80-20. And then season 3 is a real mix of all my writer's room writers and my real life.
Okay.
But everything on it is pretty much inspired by a real conversation, a real, you know, emotion, a real encounter. Especially the weirder ones. The weirder ones are usually mostly true.
Right. Stranger than fiction. Sometimes you can't make this shit up sometimes, as they say.
No, you can't.
I mean, the show, and that's one of the things I love about the show, like, you know, it explores like very pivotal issues of our times, you know, butt bumpers, fear of buttholes falling off, racist daughters, kids afraid of Nazis. One that hit extra hard for me, I got to tell you, was the male tank top. That was do
you wear a male tank top?
So I bought one. I bought one a couple years ago.
Every man's story starts like this. So I bought one. Go ahead.
I bought one a couple of years ago at, like, I don't know, like American Eagle or Urban Outfitters, I think, right?
This is where it all starts.
It was orange with like a navy blue trim, and it was not necessarily the tank top that my wife like mercilessly mocked me for. It was like the fact that it had a little pocket. And she was just like, that, you know, that belongs on like a 10, 20-year-old. And like, I'm neither, you know? So that one hit a little close to home, I must say.
Well, you know what? Good. And I hope we learned a lesson. I feel like out of everything that my show has done and conversations it sparked, relationships, parenting, I think this is my biggest service that I will be known for upon my death.
It is one of those shows that, like, my wife and I will have that experience where, like, we look at each other like, yep, it's so relatable. Like, especially as parents, as Angelinos, but in all aspects. Take us back to the beginning. I know you're 2 seasons deep. You got a 3rd season on the way. But it's a hustle. And I know you were on the grind in this business for a long time before you got your own show. I think you had other pilots. Tell us, like, what that process was to just get this thing on the air in the first place.
You know, I sort of always like to say I was kind of a successful failure for a lot of years. I was working a lot. I was on shows here and there. I sold a lot of shows, and sorry, who was your favorite cast member and why is it Jason Mantzoukas? How dare you? I will never admit that Jason Mantzoukas is my favorite anything. Please. I can't live in that world. But basically, you know, I got, you know, close 1,000 times. And it really was just knocked down and knocked down and knocked down to the point where you just go, why am I trying? Why am I trying? And then with this show, I went about it a different way. And I said, I'm going to shoot something first. I'm not going to pitch and then get paid to write the script and then get in development hell. And so I shot 14 minutes of what had ended up being the pilot. And actually a lot of it made it into the show. And I was able that way to show exactly the tone that I was talking about, and to make it undeniable, this is the show. And luckily True TV was, you know, looking for writer performers that they could really let do their thing. And there were some other places that were interested that I was more familiar with, but they were all about letting me do the show I wanted to do. And that was everything. And then I was really able to have one vision going through instead of dealing with lots of notes and producers and studios, and where you get lost and shows get lost and the through line gets lost, because you really do need kind of one person's point of view to push through. And I have a million people helping me, especially my co-showrunner, Joey Slayman. Lennon Parham will be back this season. I'm just sort of seeing people's things. But it took kind of coming at it from a different way and really sticking to my guns. And there were definitely times where changes were brought up, and I would just like, you know what, thank you so much, we'll work on something else. And I really had to like put it all on the line many times to actually get the show I exactly wanted out.
And you've also got some heavy hitters as producers in terms of like the Lonely Island guys and Will Ferrell
and Will Ferrell and Adam McKay and Jessica Elbaum. Yeah.
Yeah. How did they all come into the picture, and how sort of like intimately involved are they on like a day-to-day?
I will tell you, they're all amazing and they're all fantastic. They're not involved on the day-to-day at all. Mm-hmm. Adam and Will and Jessica Elbaum, I'd worked with many times. I'd done Step Brothers, then I went on a comedy tour with Will, and I did Sleeping with Other People in the House, and Jessica Elbaum and I had worked on some other things together. And I developed a show at Comedy Central with them as well. So I'd worked in there. They'd been working with me and producing with me for a while. And then the Lonely Island guys, that came about because I wanted to shoot this 14 minutes, and they had a deal with Fox at the time. This is so not interesting, but with Fox at the time, sorry, to shoot pilot presentations. Mm-hmm. And that's how they came on. And then the first season, they were actually our production company as well, like our on the ground production company. But they're all smart, funny people, but they're like, this is your show. You do what you do.
Let's talk about casting for a minute. I'm guessing you got to choose your own TV husband. Like, how did you land on Tom Everett Scott? I mean, he's one of the wonders. You're big fan of That Thing You Do. How did you land on him?
I mean, I liked That Thing You Do. I haven't seen it in many years. You know what? There's something about him that I've just always liked. There's something kind of charming and about him. I did not know him. Everyone else on the show, I basically knew and begged to be on it. But I wanted somebody not deeply entrenched in the comedy world, because in real life, my husband has a very good sense of humor. I mean, it's fine. And, but he wears a suit to work. Like, he is not a comedy person. And comedy people, even if they're playing a straight role, will go for the comedy, go for the comedy, go for the comedy. And I really wanted it to feel very in the pocket real. Mm-hmm. That it's somebody that they're very different, but they support each other and love each other. Mm-hmm. And he and I met at Arts Deli in the Valley, and we just kind of hit it off. And I just kind of took a leap of faith, and so did he, because he didn't read for it or do anything else. And he was the one person I didn't know. And he's fantastic. And we have so much fun working together. I horrify him. I've brought him into the world of improv, which he loves. And, the show is fully scripted, but we like to do like a fun run for everything. And usually that's me trying to say something to make him just like, oh God. And then I like to use those in the edit room.
He is so good. You guys have great chemistry, as somebody pointed out in the comments. He has, I think, one of the best oh boy faces, like, on television. Like, he has the way he has to respond to basically everything happening around him. It's just like, oh boy. There's just like, it's so understated, but it's so perfect. It's just the oh boy face.
Hi, Allie. And you know what? It was really one of my big goals going into this show was, I was at an age where, I was a mom and not 25 anymore. And all the roles that were coming to me were mom roles, which was fine. Hi from New Orleans. But they were all harried and sexless and not funny and just boring roles. And I was like, I'm a mom. My friends are moms. None of us suck. Like, what's going on? We can still be the same people we were before. Why, as soon as a person becomes a mom on TV, they just became lame? So I wanted to do that. And I also was like, I want to show a couple that's been together for a long time who fucking like each other still. Mm-hmm. Because in this day and age, if you don't like each other, fucking leave. You know?
Right. Yes. I've heard whispers that the divorce rate is going to like skyrocket after this quarantine.
I'm drinking bourbon. I'm answering.
Yes. Cheers.
You know what? I do like to joke that if I make it through this without murdering or maiming my husband, I feel like that's a win. Things are touch and go in this house.
Yes. Does your daughter watch the show, and how does she, no? Okay. Too much. How old? 11, you said?
She just turned 11 during this quarantine time.
Probably a little.
Yeah, I wouldn't. And I think what would actually surprise me, I'm actually a very strict mom. And yeah, this isn't appropriate for a kid. Yeah.
Do you give good parenting advice?
I think I do. A
Yeah.
lot of my friends consistently come to me for parenting advice. I think about it a lot. I actually think about parenting, and I take it seriously that my job is to raise a child who can survive and function out in the world independently.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important, and you have to push them in certain ways. And do I have a secret potty mouth in real life? I don't think it's that secret. Although in front of my daughter, I don't really swear. I'm actually pretty good. So yeah, I think I actually do give very good parenting advice. I feel pretty confident in that world.
I mean, not to turn this into like a therapy session or anything like that, but here's what we're dealing with during the quarantine.
Yeah.
So we adopted some kittens to entertain them because the homeschool was getting rough, and we were going to get them down the line. My two daughters, I know this, 4 and 7. About what the 4-year-old
took you a second.
The 4-year-old's about to be 5, and we're trying to figure out how do you get your kids to, do you have pets? Because we're trying to figure out how to get them to stop torturing our new kittens. They don't do it maliciously. They just maybe
are they serial killers in the making?
I hope not. I don't think so. They don't pee their bed.
It doesn't sound like you're going down a great path.
Yeah.
I will be honest. If you're looking for my parenting advice.
Yes.
No. Well, it's hard. I mean, they have such hard impulse control. Mm-hmm. I would imagine the older one has a little bit more.
She's much better. It's mainly when it comes to carrying them. We'll turn around and this morning I turned around and the younger one was literally holding one of the kittens upside down. They're actually right here.
Well, I think that's just an age thing. I don't think that's
right there. They like to sleep under my desk.
Oh, that is so cute. Oh, wow. Is that very cute? I think that's an age thing. Mm-hmm. More than anything. That's just, they don't understand how they're holding it and how they hurt, they're hurting. Because I will say my daughter's 11 and we adopted a dog last fall and she's been amazing. I told her, because she'd been begging and begging and begging, I was like, you're going to have to get up before school and walk it. Mm-hmm. You have to feed it. You have to do it. And she's been amazing. She really, But at 4 and 5, disaster.
No, so somebody pointed out in the comments, the kittens are under my desk right now. The door's closed. I'm in my office. They're definitely in their safe space. They're good. Hiding away from the kids.
Fred, come here. I'm going to show you my dog.
Oh yeah, I love this. I love pet show and tell. I'll get the other kitten up here too. Somebody asked for more kittens. Sorry, I'm waking them up. Oh my goodness! Look at that little dog.
What is that, baby?
Oh, does he want to see the other kitten?
Okay, we have turned into very annoying people.
That's Snowflake.
I kind of hate us. Fred! I know, Fred.
Fred. Are you related to Fred Savage?
Not. And after we named him Fred, if you can believe it, I did not put that together when we named him Fred. But
is his last name Savage? Did he take your name? No.
He has my husband and my daughter's last name.
Oh, okay.
So, but people are like, holy shit, what kind of, person names Fred Savage? Which, if I had actually thought of it, I would have probably named him Fred Savage and then the other last name.
I saw a great, I want to go back to, I'm sorry, because I saw a great question. Somebody asked I think we know how you talked about how autobiographical it is, but somebody asked how your character is most alike, and also most different from you. So how would you say that Andrea is most different from your Andrea?
I would say, you could ask my husband, I am not nearly as entertaining, and as fun as she is all the time. I also know when to shut up more than her. I don't get myself into as many awkward, I stop 4 steps before she necessarily stops. On the show, I believe we say Andrea and Mike have sex 3 times a week. That's crazy. That's insanity. But I needed it for the joke. But I would say, I mean, there's obviously a lot of, it's me, but it's definitely an exaggerated, always on version. Yeah.
Speaking of lots of butthole talk in the comments right now, hashtag buttholes. I saw somebody mention that your podcast is getting them through the quarantine right now. But for those people who are watching it and aren't, I have to admit, I'm not super familiar. I'm definitely going to check it out. But tell us a little bit about the podcast.
It's a podcast. It's called Andrea Savage, a grown-up woman, hashtag buttholes. And really the butthole line is, it's a show about basically, I think a lot of people watch my TV show and they go, you know what, it makes me less scared to grow up. It makes me less scared to be married, to be a parent, that it still can be fun and you can kind of stay who you are. So that's kind of what the podcast is about, is other people that I know. It's Paul Rudd, John Hamm, Mila Kunis, and all these people. And we play games and we have fun and just show that you can be a together person who, has a job or a family and can live their lives, and you can still be silly. And when you say the word buttholes, you kind of can't take yourself seriously.
Right.
So I make all of them at the beginning of the show say like, hi, my name is Mila Kunis, and this is how I say buttholes. And we just laugh. I just wanted something where people can listen to it. There's no underlying political message or darkness or, anything. It's just two people having a good time and showing that you can be a grown-up and that it doesn't have to suck. And you don't have to be scared to be a grown-up. And my season finale is actually next Monday. And my last guest, who I haven't announced anywhere, is Ray Romano.
Oh, nice.
Which I'm so excited about. He's the only one that I didn't know well. And I've always been a huge, huge, huge fan of his. I think Everybody Loves Raymond is an incredible show that was so much more subversive and like cooler than people even gave it credit for, even though people loved it. And he agreed to come on, and I'm so excited for it.
Everybody loves Ray Romano. By the way.
Well, now everyone wants to fuck Ray Romano. That's the whole big thing after the Oscars. Yeah? Remember?
No, like, I didn't hear that.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's like, like, I'll always remember the moment I realized I wanted to have sex with Ray Romano. Because now he's got like a beard and edge. And he swore at the Oscars. And suddenly, and I made fun of him about it because when we recorded, it was right after the Oscars. And I mean, it was trending on Twitter, like basically like, I want to fuck Ray Romano. And how is Ray Romano hot?
He's killing it right now. He was in The Irishman. If you haven't talked to him already, you have to tell him he should have gotten an Oscar nomination for The Big Sick. He was so
I'm not telling him anything that's going to make him feel good. Why would I do that?
I saw a question come through that we have to ask because it feels like the most important question we've gotten thus far, and I think we only only a few minutes late. Somebody wants to know what they should name their baby.
Is it a girl or a boy?
I mean, let's try to think of a name that would work for both for the time being. Until if that was you, come back, tell us if it was a boy or a girl.
I would like to think that somebody wrote, because somebody just wrote, but what about Joe Pesci? Which I'm assuming was in reference to the other thing. But what about Joe Pesci as the name of your baby?
Oh, first name Joe, middle name Pesci.
Barbara T. Warren, that's great.
Barbara T. Warren's pretty good.
I don't think, my thing is, don't name your baby a joke. Like, I know, like, my daughter, you just want your name to kind of be cool. Like, later you might appreciate it, but
don't name him Mike Hunt.
No, don't name him that. No. Yeah.
I say
quinoa. We're not naming. Yeah, Joe. When I said Joe Pesci, that would be the first name. Obviously, Joe Pesci, and then whatever your last name is. I do like Willa.
Will's good. Will's good. Bend over. We're not going
No,
there.
that's what.
No.
Fred, what's happening? Why are we barking?
Fred does not like that name.
No,
Ellis
Fred
is
does
pretty.
not.
Ellis is a pretty good name.
Ellis is pretty. I have to say, I really like the name. And my mom, who I saw somebody else earlier asked, is my mom like my character, like the character on my show? Exactly.
Yeah.
She is. But I always really liked the name Ethel. And she really shit that one out. Like, she was like, that's the worst name.
It's a grandma name. I would call it a grandma name. I think
I
it's
know,
a
but I
classic,
like it.
I think it's a classic grandma name. What were your grandma names?
My grandma's name, Florence and Tilly.
Oh, those are good ones.
I know.
Those are good grandma names.
I know.
I had Eunice and Dorothy.
Oh, my step grandma was Dorothy.
It's an art, the grandma name. I mean, it's just like it's a time capsule.
I
basically, know. What it
so,
is.
I also like old man names. My grandpa's name was Harry. My other grandpa's name was Leonard. And I like both of those names for boys.
Stanley, another good one.
Yeah.
Stan.
Yeah. So just don't do anything jokey.
Yeah. I mean, you've got.
Someone just said their grandma's names were Thelma and Louise. No joke.
I don't believe it.
But they said no joke. You have to believe it.
Yeah, well, I still don't
I'm
believe
kidding.
it. I want to see birth certificates. I'm not a birther for your grandparents. I'm just kidding.
No.
I want to ask you about one of your other credits. I mean, you have so many other great credits beyond I'm Sorry, V, Pot Wives, but like a true cinematic classic. I mean, there's Citizen Kane, there's The Godfathers, and then there's The Step Brothers. Give us like one good memory from the making of that movie.
Gosh, you know what? I'm trying to think. Well, a story I don't think I've ever told is casting. I originally went in and I read with Adam McKay. It's the first time I met Adam McKay. And I improvised a ton of it and just added a bunch and sort of created this character, and he loved it. And then he had me come in and read with Will Ferrell. And I will say, and I'm not someone who gets thrown off very easily, I was like, like it was hard for me to look at him. Like and so I didn't have the role yet when we had the table read for Paramount. I think it was Paramount, or no, it was Sony. God, Sony.
Sony.
And Sony. And so I didn't have the role yet, but they asked me to do the table read, which is, Judd Apatow. I mean, everyone's there, and it's hundreds. It's full, and it's all the executives. And so I was so nervous, and I was like, oh God. And then it went great. Like, it just went great, and I got it. But it was my first time I read with Will. Like, I shit the bed a little bit. It was not I was just a little like, oh my God. Yeah. But then I pulled it together, and it was as I always say, it was as much fun shooting that movie as you think it would have been. Mm-hmm. It wasn't one of those where it looked fun, but we're all like, oh God, that was a fucking nightmare. No. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Will is one of those people. I mean, he is so genuinely friendly. Like, he is one of those people. I know every time I interview him, like he puts you at ease, and just
he's the loveliest person. And since then, I've worked with him and toured with him. He's one of the most just incredible people in the world. Yeah.
Always one of my favorite people to interview. We have a lot
I'm going to answer one person's question. Jason Mantzoukas and I in Sleeping with Other People. Yes, that was tons of improv.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was just going to say there's a lot of Sleeping with Other People fans on the line as well. That feels like a very underrated movie as well.
Yeah, everyone was Jason Mantzoukas and Alison Brie. Not Mantzoukas, Jason Mantzoukas too, but Sudeikis and Brie. Everyone was great. It was a really good movie. Yeah, people did a good job. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
Very good. We're gonna let you go in a minute, but what if you can guesstimate, surmise, when would you say, like, I'm Sorry is coming back? I know your production was interrupted.
Oh, you cut out. Sorry. When could I say what?
If you could possibly, like, guesstimate right now, when is I'm Sorry coming back on air?
We have to be given the go ahead to finish shooting.
Yeah.
Sadly, it was going to be on the air soon, but
so you were
when we're allowed back.
you were close to finished.
We were early on in the shooting.
Okay.
Yeah.
This has been such a joy. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
So nice.
Cheers to you one last time.
Cheers to you. Thanks for everyone who joined in and
Yes.
all your names.
Thank you, guys.
Please don't name your baby Andrea. That's a terrible decision. No.
Go with Stanley. Stanley or Eunice, I think we decided on. We like the old kind of names.
Good with those. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you once again. Such a pleasure. And hope to see you again soon. Thank you guys for checking out Totally Normal Happy Hour. All right. Thanks, Andrew.
Bye.
Bye.